Mana Dork Kindred is something I've been wanting to do for a while, and I finally found the commander for it. This is Raggadragga. This whole deck came in under 25 bucks as well, so that's pretty exciting. And please hit like and subscribe. Okay, so this is part one. We're talking about the commander, which is Raggadragga, Goreguts Boss. So let's give him a quick read over to make sure we're all on the same page. He is a 2 red-green Agrul commander for this 4/4. He has 3 abilities. First one, each creature you control with a mana ability gets +2/+2. That is huge, and the impact on kind of the value engine, the math, really changes significantly right there. Whenever a creature you control with a mana ability attacks, untap it. So you can keep swinging with your all your Mana Dorks, and they're going to be untapped to use for mana anyway. Whenever you cast a spell, if at least 7 mana was spent to cast it, untap target creature gets +7/+7 and gains trample until end of turn. +7/+7 and trample. Also untap, and yeah, you do have to spend 7 mana, at least 7 mana on just one spell. This isn't expend, right? Expend will count however many you spend throughout the turn. This has to be on one single spell, okay? That's kind of the major limitation built in there. So let's talk about the first ability, or the first 2 abilities, I should say. So Mana Dork's getting +2/+2 changes the math on the values, as I said. It is a huge difference. A lot of times people want those 1 mana Mana Dorks that are 1/1s. Those are 3/3s already. And it kind of carries on from there. And if you attack with these creatures, they untap and they're ready to go again. Like, for defense, for mana, whatever you want, they're always going to be ready. Like, it's pretty huge. Bigger Mana Dorks are more useful in this deck. A lot of times people don't want to use the one, or they only want to use the 1 mana Mana Dorks. My favorite is actually Wandertail Mentor. No, Trail Tracker Scout. What am I talking about? Trail Tracker Scout. A lot of people hated on that one when I posted it. I did a short where I said I thought it was the best Mana Dork. In this deck, it's crazy. But anyway, I thought it was the best one. And a lot of people were like, it's 2 mana, it's terrible. Like, yeah. It has expend 8. If you expend 8, that means spend 8 mana on spells during your turn. You get to put a permanent from your graveyard back into your hand. In this deck, that is insane. Like, you want to be spending 7 mana on 1 spell. So yeah, going to 8 is not a huge stretch. Anyway, yeah. Let's look at Llanowar Visionary. When I'm talking about the math, this is a perfect example. So he is 2 and a green for this 2/2. So when he enters the battlefield, draw a card and tap for a green mana. Sounds not impressive. 3 mana, you get to draw a card, which is nice, but it's only a 2/2. But with Raggadragga, he's a 4/4 that costs 3 mana. When you come in, you get to draw a card and he taps for mana, meaning that he gets all of these other bonuses. Like if he attacks, he automatically untaps. Whoa, that is a pretty huge difference. 3 mana on a 4/4 that lets you draw a card as well is a really good deal all of a sudden. So yeah, he's a great example of the value engine really shifts there. Let's talk about his third ability. It is a bit different than usual. So I think I definitely misread this the first time, or I kind of filled in a different reading of it. I think it might be something a lot of people get wrong. Whenever you cast a spell, if at least 7 mana was spent to cast it, untap target creature gets +7/+7 and gains trample until end of turn. So this does not say cast, a spell with 7 CMC or higher, or something like that. That is how I read it the first time. That's wrong. That's not what it says. So even if you have something that is 7 CMC, and you have some kind of cost reduction, this doesn't trigger. This only cares that, number 1, you spend the mana on spells, and it's 7 or more mana on the 1 spell. If you have 7 between 2 different spells, this doesn't work, right? It doesn't have to be 1, and it has to be 7 mana spent. Not the cost of the spell, what you actually spend. So that's why we're using X spells in this to really get that value there, because you can just pump the mana into them, and it'll always work. So that's a really nice little bit there, but again, not CMC. That's the tricky thing. The deck price is $24.72. Remember, the deck objective is to turn Mana Dorks into the threat at the table, and this deck can do that. You just have like everything you need. Really, all you need to worry about if you're playing this deck is like keeping your card draw going, and we have lots of stuff for that. Check the description for the link to this deck, and if you put this deck together, let me know how it works. I had one person in particular say they had tried out one of my decks and they really liked it, so that was good. I'd love some feedback because I live in South Korea. I can't really pick up most of these without paying a really ridiculous amount. Anyway, we are looking at part 2 now. These are the key cards that really get work done in the deck. So the high synergy cards. Ley Line of Abundance is our first one. 2 green for this enchantment. So if it's in your opening hand, you can just start the game with it on the battlefield. So it'll cast for free if it's in your opening hand. Crazy. I don't even know if it technically casts, but anyway. Whenever you tap a creature for mana, add an additional green. Oh boy. And for 6 green, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. We do have a +1/+1 counter sub-theme in this deck, so that's going to do a lot of work, that's for sure. I think this is overall the most useful card in the deck, so yeah. If you have it, definitely cast it. There are a total of 22 Mana Dorks in this deck, so the extra mana is going to happen. It's going to happen. Even if you have to cast this for 4, you're going to get your value back very quickly. Next up, our next couple are all about granting the mana ability so that you can benefit from the +2/+2 and the like untap on attack. So Summoning Materia, 2 and a green for this artifact equipment. Look at the top card of your library at any time. As long as this equipment is attached to a creature, you may cast creature spells from the top of your library. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has tap to add a green. So it gives you not extra card draw, extra card selection, and it gives you that mana ability and +2/+2. So with Ragga on the battlefield, it can be +4/+4. Remember, you can equip this to him. His ability will work on himself. So yeah, you can give him +4/+4 and make him an 8/8 just by adding this. Equip is only 2, so that's not bad either. Next up is Careful Cultivation, 2 and a green for this aura this time. Enchant creature or artifact. So kind of interesting, they can also enchant an artifact. You probably wouldn't want to in this deck, but yeah. As long as the enchanted permanent is a creature, it gets +3/+1 and has reach, as well as tap for 2 green mana. So you can give anything, not only that mana ability for the +2/+2 and the untap on attack, but it's going to have +1/+3, so that's going to be +3/+5 and reach and tap for 2 mana. So you can attack with this and have it untapped with reach as a blocker that can be pretty intimidating to probably just about anything. Even if it's a 1/1 you put it on, this is going to be, what, 4/6 with reach? Like, that's not too shabby. And it also has a discard ability we kind of don't care about, frankly, so I'm not going to bother. Electro Dominance. This is, again, we have many X spells in this deck. I actually didn't count. I think at least 5, but anyway. This is one of the best ones, but it's also one you kind of have to remember exactly how it's worded because it makes a difference. So it's X red. Electro Dominance deals X damage to any target. You may cast a spell with a mana value X or less from your hand without paying its mana cost. Okay? So you do get an extra thing for free. Basically, if you cast this for 5 red, that's 7. That activates Goreguts' ability, or Raggadragga's ability. Anyway, so you get to untap something. One thing I meant to point out is that you don't have to use this on a tapped creature. You can use it on an untapped creature still. If it is tapped, it'll untap. If it's not tapped, don't worry about it. Anyway. But with this X spell, with this spell that you get for free, let's say you cast this for 9 and cast the spell that has 7 CMC. Does that activate Goreguts again? No, it doesn't, because you don't spend any mana to cast it. So yeah, Goreguts would not activate double with this, unfortunately, but it's still a very useful spell to have access to. The final high synergy card is Bramble Familiar. For 1 and a green, this is an elemental raccoon creature, a 2/2. He has tap to add green. Also, 1 and a green, you can discard a card and return him to your hand from the battlefield. And you can do this over and over and over. Why would you want to? Because he's also got an adventure. He has a sorcery. Fetch quest, 5 green, mill 7 cards. Then put a creature, enchantment, or land card from among the milled cards into the battlefield. So this auto casts the thing right away. And it doesn't care what the casting cost is or what the CMC is, it'll do it. So yeah, you can kind of just go through and take whatever is most useful and keep throwing it into the battlefield, and then you can cast him as a creature, and then you can return him to your hand, and then cast him as a sorcery again. Just do this in a loop over and over and over. So yeah, if you want him as a Mana Dork, no problem. He's a 4/4 for 2, pretty good. Also, you can just keep using this fetch quest. Fetch quest 7 mana sounds not good, but in this deck it's amazing because it means you get to just keep triggering Raggadragga's ability over and over and over. Alright, we're getting to part 3 here, which is the plan. What are the deck objectives? How do we want to win? What can this do? Usually, we always want to ramp. Is my first step in every other deck. My first step in this is actually utility. I want utility. So yeah. Mana Dorks, of course. Mana Dorks are very important. We're going to look at some of the best Mana Dorks. Granting a mana ability. This will give everything that +2/+2 and, or anything I should say, that +2/+2 and the untap on attack. That is just huge. Next up, you just want to end the game, but that's actually getting to our next section. But yeah, here we go. Okay. Utility. Once again, with 22 Mana Dorks, we're not doing ramp first. So yeah. What we do want is a little bit of fixing just to like cover our bases. So we got Riveteer's Outlook. This is not the only fixing, of course, in the deck, but yeah, when it enters the battlefield, sacrifice it. When you do, search a library for a swamp, mountain, or forest, put it into the battlefield, and gain 1 life. So basically, mountain, forest, whatever you need, just go get it, and you gain a life as well. Sure, why not? Bonder's Enclave. You can tap it for 1 colorless, or for 3 and tap, draw a card, activate only if you control a creature with power 4 or greater. Remember, even if your Mana Dork is a 2/2, it is a 4/4. So you're going to be able to like pay 3 to draw a card, kind of whenever you want. So if you need it, it's there. Mosswort Bridge. This is an amazing one. I mean to put in every single deck that has green. I always forget, but didn't this time. Hideaway 4. So when this land enters, look at the top 4 cards of your library, exile 1 of them face down, and put the rest on the bottom of your in a random order. This enters tapped, tap for a green, and for 1 green you may play the exiled card without paying its mana cost if creatures you control have total power 10 or greater. Very easy to do in this deck. If you have 3 Mana Dorks, you probably already have 10 or greater, so yeah. That'll get done. Rogue's Passage. So you can tap it for a colorless or pay 4 and tap it to make 1 creature unblockable. Especially commander damage, that's it right there. Kessig Wolf Run, tap to add a colorless, and you can pay X in red or green, and tap it to give a creature +X/+0 until end of turn. Remember, this is an ability. This would not count for Goreguts 3rd, because it has to be a spell, not abilities. So unfortunately, this would not work. Now we're going to look at some of the best Mana Dorks in the deck. It's hard to choose, frankly, but I gave it my best shot. Elvish Mystic. This is a very blasé one, but it gets the main point across. It's 1 green mana for this 1/1 that taps for 1. It's a 3/3 in this deck. That's the only thing that's really important. It's a 3/3, and you can tap and untaps. So this 1 mana thing kind of gets a little more impressive in this deck. Armored Scrapgoater is a 1 and a green for this 0/3. Again, it's 0, so usually you do 0 damage. This is a 2/5 in this deck. It gets +3/+0 as long as it has 3 or more oil counters on it. You can tap to add 1 mana of any color. So oil counters, as soon as it gets oil counters, 3 of them, it becomes a 5/5 in this deck for 2 mana. And whenever Armored Scapegoater becomes tapped, exile target card from a graveyard. What? Put an oil counter on it. So yeah, every time you tap it, you can exile a card from someone's graveyard. That's your graveyard 8 covered right there. It can solve a lot of problems, that's for sure. And also you can tap for mana, meaning during someone else's turn, you can tap it and yeah, get mana and use that to exile a card out of their graveyard. So if they're doing a bunch of shenanigans, you have a way to interact with it. Real good. Anyway, Illison, Caryatid. Anyway, okay. 1 and a green for this plant is a 1/1 again, so that's going to be a 3/3 in this deck. Add 1 mana of any color. If you control a creature with power 4 or greater, add 2 mana of any one color instead. So you're very quickly going to be able to have, even itself, it will count. So if you've got something that gives +1/+1 counters, which there are many in this deck, and he gets his bonus from Goreguts, there you go. He's a 4/4. He's tapping him. He counts himself and taps for 2 mana. Cradle Clear Cutter. So this is an interesting one. For 6 mana, or for 2 and a green, you can cast as a prototype. The prototype is a 1/3. That's the difference right there. But it's regularly a 3/6 and has tap at amount of green equal to its power. So even if you cast it as a prototype for 3, it'll have power 3. And as soon as you're able to tap it, hopefully you've got Fires of Mara or whatever, Maya, I think it is. And all of your creatures have haste, so you're going to be able to do it first turn. And he can pay you back for his own value immediately. And if you cast him for 6, he's a 3/6. That's going to be 5/8, remember? And yeah, he'll tap for 5 every turn. It will pay itself off very quickly. Tender Wild Guide for 1 green. This is a 2/2, which is going to be a 4/4, keep in mind. He has tap, add 1 mana of any color, or tap, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. So he can put +1/+1 counters on himself, very good, but also has offspring too. So if you pay 2 extra, you get to make a copy. You're going to make 2 of these. So yeah, you're getting 2 Mana Dorks. They're basically going to be 4/4s that can put +1/+1 counters on themselves, or yeah, just tap for mana, which is always nice too. Granting mana abilities. Okay, so we've got Careful Cultivation we talked about already, and Summoning Materia we already talked about, so not going to spend a bunch of time on those. Very useful to have though, but what is different is Citadel Hierophants. I can't say it, but it's good. 3 and a green for this 3/2. Creatures you control have tap to add a green. Creatures. It does count itself, because it doesn't say other creatures, it just says creatures. So everything on your board, including your commander, is going to be count as a Mana Dork now, and you're going to give +2/+2 to everything. So really what he does is add a tap ability and +2/+2 and untap on attack. Like, crazy. Rishkar Pima Renegade for 2 and a green again. This is an Elf Druid 2/2. So when he enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on up to 2 target creatures. Great start. And each creature you control with a +1 or with a counter, any counter on it, has tap to add a green. So all of those +1/+1 counters you're putting down are now going to make them into Mana Dorks, so which gives them the +2/+2 and all of the other benefits. Whoa, yeah. Alright, so this is part 4 where we talk about winning. That's pretty important, right? We always like to have a way to win the game. Okay, first one I'm going to look at is the commander damage. We got the 2-handed axe, that's 2 in a red, and is an equipment that has equip for 1 in a red, and whenever equipped creature attacks, double its power until end of turn. So this is going to double your power right off the bat. You're going to combine it with something like Fire Shrieker that gives double strike. So basically you'll do 4 times the damage. with those two. Two-handed axe also has an adventure though. It has an instant that you can use as an adventure. So for 1 red, target creature you control gains double strike until end of turn. So you can cast it for its adventure for 2, and then cast it for as an equipment for its 3, and then equip it for 2, and then you're going to have that ×4 effect from just the 1 card. Also, we've got Rogue's Passage, which once again, pay 4 mana, tap, make your commander unblockable. There you go, instant knockout commander damage. I would note that he's a 4/4, so even at 4 times, that's only 16. You need at least like a +2 on him to get to commander damage. We've got so many ways to do that in the deck, I thought I wouldn't worry about it. Alright, this is actually kind of like a whole bunch of options on this one. It's not a specific win con kind of thing. So no blocking. We've got Cosmotronic Wave for 3 red. It deals 1 damage to each creature your opponents control, and no blocking. None of the creatures can block. So it's going to kill some creatures, but it's going to like make it all, so they all can't block. Once again, so much you can do with even just 1 turn of no blocking. Next up, speaking of no blocks, Champion of Lambholt, one of my go-tos here. 1 green for this human warrior. Human, unfortunately for Grumgully. 1/1. Creatures with power less than Champion of Lambholt's power can't block creatures you control. So everything with lower power cannot block her. She's a 1/1 though, so that kind of means nothing at the beginning, but whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on Champion of Lambholt. Don't forget you have things like Speaker of Tejuru that is going to let you just put a whole pile of +1/+1 counters on something. So if she's out, there you go. You can just make it so none of your opponents are allowed to block your stuff. And yeah, once again, Rogue's Passage to keep in mind to make 1 thing unblockable. Next up is just pummel them. We're going to be able to build that army up so quickly that it will probably be faster than other people with all of our Mana Dorks and all of our low cost things. So we've got lots of ways to take advantage of that. Well, 3 ways I should say. Overwhelming Stampede, 3 green. Until end of turn, creatures you control gain trample and get +X/+X, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. Pretty useful in commander damage win con as well. Preposterous Proportions, speaking of. 5 green. Remember, that's 7. It costs 7, so this would also give you +7/+7 for 1 creature. Creatures you control gain +10/+10 and vigilance until end of turn. So 1 creature is going to have +17/+17, vigilance and trample until end of turn. Boy. And if you use that on Goreguts, Raggadragga I should call him. That +17 is really important because 17 + 4 is 21, and that's commander damage, right? So this is like your one-shot thing. Anyway, Return of the Wild Speaker for 4 green. This is modal. You can choose to draw cards equal to the greatest power among creatures you control, which is a serious option, or non-human creatures you control get +3/+3 until end of turn. The vast majority of this deck is not human. We got elves, we got plants, we got elements, we got all kinds of things. Mostly not. I think there's 3 humans in the deck. Goreguts unfortunately does have human, but still, probably going to be something that you might want to use for card draw, or you can just win off of it. Board wipe, you lose. Okay, so this is a bit more of a complicated one. So Stalking Vengeance, 5 red. For this avatar, it has haste for this 5/5. Whenever another creature you control dies, it deals damage equal to target player equal to its power. So yeah, you're going to be increasing their power with all these +1/+1 counters and things like Speaker of Tejuru. Again, so let's talk about that. It's X green and has multi-kicker 1, meaning for every 1 extra you pay, you can target another creature. Choose target creature, then choose target creature for each time the spell is kicked. Put +1 X +1/+1 counters on each of them. So again, if you cast this for 5 green, that's your 7. You're giving something +7/+7, and yeah, you're going to just be able to like give that to a bunch of creatures as well. So like Champion of Lamholt is going to suddenly be an 8/8, and you're probably not going to be able to be blocked with just about anything. Next up, we have Chain Reaction, 2 red. So basically, you set this up, Stalking Vengeance, Speaker of Tajuru, give them this huge bonus to damage, and then Chain Reaction, blow up everything, right? It deals X damage to each creature where X is the number of creatures on the battlefield. So yeah. In the whole Battlefield and Commander game, you're probably going to be talking a good amount of damage. So you're going to wipe the board of everything, but you're also going to get the added advantage of like doing a pile of damage to the other players, quite possibly taking everyone else out of the game. Okay, we're looking at part 5. So what's important? Looking at some of the sub-themes and how to get more value out of the deck. Basically being prepared. Anyway, okay, so we've got, first of all, Grumgully the Generous. 1 red-green. For this 3/3, each other non-human creature you control enters with additional +1/+1. Again, it's only non-humans, but that's almost everything in the deck. I think there are 3 humans. Unfortunately, the commander is one of them, but anyway. Next up, we have Renata, Call to the Hunt, 2 green. Yeah, her power is equal to your devotion to green, so how many green pips you have, that's her power. That could make her scary. Each other creature you control with the enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it. So she puts a +1/+1 counter on every creature, no matter what. And they do stack, remember that? Helena and Elena, partners, 2 green-red. This is a 2/3 with first strike and reach. Nice combo. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put X +1/+1 counters on another target creature you control where X is this creature's power. So yeah, she's going to come in as a 2/3 or more. If Renata's out, be a 3/4. And at the beginning of every combat, you put +3/+3 on a creature. Do it to Goreguts, and he'll be powerhouse very, very quickly. Thickest in the Thicket. So we got 3 green, and when it enters, put X +1/+1 counters on target creature where X is that creature's power. So you're basically putting X, doubling their power in X +1/+1 counters. Super useful. Once again, think about using it on Goreguts if you already has some. And in combination with something like Speaker of Tajuru, it's terrifying. At the beginning of your end step, draw 2 cards if you control a creature with the greatest power or tied for the greatest power. Good chance you have the greatest power, especially once this is out. So, yeah, 2 extra cards per turn. Noi. Inspiring Call. For 2 and a green, draw a card for each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it. Great start, and those creatures gain indestructible until end of turn. This is an instant, so most board wipes that are going to destroy all creatures, you'd be like, nah, I'll just keep them all. Or all of the ones that have +1/+1 counters, which should be all of them. So yeah, that'll get some work done. So now we're going to talk about the card draw. First up, we've got Goreguts Uprising. 2 and a green for this enchantment. Gives everything on the battlefield trample. Very useful in this deck. Also, when it comes in, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, draw a card. If you control 10 creatures with power 4 or greater, still draw 1 card. The other thing it does is whenever a creature you control with power 4 or greater enters, draw a card. This is very good because it counts after any other like bonuses that come from entering effects. So if you've got like a Mana Dork, Goreguts +2/+2 is going to go on that. And also if you've got like Renata, giving it a +1/+1, it'll count those. It activates after those. So even if you've got a 1/1 Mana Dork, that's going to come in as a 4/4, and you're going to draw a card off of it. So this is kind of like cast a creature, draw a card over and over and over. Next up is Investigator's Journal. For 2 mana, this is an artifact clue. Basically, it's like a clue that stores other clues. When it enters the battlefield, it enters the battlefield with a number of suspect counters equal to the greatest number of creatures target player controls. Maybe someone's got a token deck or something. So yeah, you can pay 2, tap it, remove a suspect counter from this, draw a card. Also, you can pay 2 and sack it to draw a card. So usually you're going to be able to get just 1 extra card from this. per turn or 2. If you really need it, that extra card draw is going to be useful, I think. Probably have enough counters on it to last you till from when you cast it to the close to the end of the game, at least, if not the end of the game. Not something that's good in like your opening hand though. Colossal Majesty, 2 and a green for this. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, draw an extra card. An extra card every turn makes a huge difference, especially if you start stacking this like Investigator's Journal and this, then you're going to be like not worrying about card draw, I think. Shamanic Revelation, 3 green. Draw a card for each creature you control. Also, it has Ferocious. You gain 4 life for each creature you control with power 4 or greater. Probably all of your creatures, so you're going to just gain a pile of life and get a bunch of cards. Kind of solving 2 potential problems you want to have. Return of the Wild Speaker. The modal on this that we're talking about right now is the card draw. Remember, for non-human only, whatever the highest power is, maybe Goreguts. Goreguts is a human, what am I talking about? But you're going to be drawing cards equal to that power, whatever it is, which can be huge, especially with like Speaker of Tejuru. If you use that, you probably got like a 7 or 8, and you're just going to draw cards equal to like however many you want, really. Alright, so we're going to talk about the tutors now, which are very important in any deck. Threats Undetected is our first one for 2 and a green. This is sorcery. Search a library for up to 4 creature cards with different powers and reveal them. An opponent chooses 2 of those cards, shuffle the chosen cards back into your library, and put the rest into your hand. So you gotta get 4 with different powers. Not hard to do in this deck. We have a lot of overlapping abilities and things like that. So yeah, you can kind of get whatever you need, and even if they're putting things back, you're probably going to end up with something that's useful at least. Next up is Analyze the Pollen, my favorite tutor for green. As an additional cost, you may collect evidence 8. Exiling, that means exiling 8 mana value from your graveyard, and that's where this really becomes huge. Search the library for a basic land card. You can put it into your hand. Sure. If evidence was collected, instead search your library for a creature or land card. So any land or any creature. Reveal that card, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Yeah. That'll be whatever you need when you need it. Getting 8 mana value into your graveyard is not going to be super hard in this deck. Next up, Signal the Clans for a red and a green. This is an instant. You don't see a lot of tutors that are instant, so that's something to keep in mind. But anyway, search your library for 3 creature cards and reveal them. If you reveal 3 cards with different names, choose one of them at random and put the card into your hand. So there's a random aspect to it, but yeah, you're getting one of 3. Finding 3 things with overlapping kind of purpose is not difficult in this deck. A lot of times we care more about like getting counters down. We got more than 3 of those. High CMC, we have lots. I believe 4 that are over 7 CMC. So for threats undetected or Signal the Clans, this is more than good enough. Last up are high CMC creatures. We got Triplicate Titan for 9. Is a golem, a 9/9, and when it dies, it creates a 3/3 golem, with flying, a 3/3 golem creature with vigilance, and a 3/3 with trample. So this basically splits into 3 that have different usages that will be still quite helpful in this deck. Stalking Vengeance, we've talked about already, so I won't go over again, but yeah, it is 7 in total, which is what is important, and yeah, turning into WinCon is not that difficult. Drakaseth, Maw of Flames, 4 red for this dragon 7/7 flyer, and when it attacks, deal 4 damage to any target and 3 damage to up to 2 other targets. So yeah, the 4 and the 3 cannot be the same. You have to target 3 different things, but 3 different players. Any target, hey, hit one player for 4 and the other players for 3, no problem. Atarka World Render for 5 red-green. This is 6/4 flying trample, and whenever a dragon you control attacks, including itself, it gains double strike. So this is going to be 6-4. Gives itself a double strike. It's flying trample as well. So throw like summon materia on this or something, and it'll be 10-8. Like, wow. This can just do so much work in this deck. Anyway, if you have any suggestions about how to improve the deck or any ideas, I'd love to hear some feedback. I know there's a lot of ways, even on a budget, you could probably find some improvements to make to this. I saw a whole bunch of things I wanted to put in, but there's no way it was sitting under 25 if I did. But I'm sure there's a lot of ideas out there. Anyway, take it easy.